My name is Kira, I'm 20, and I've had OCD for the past 11 years. OCD stands for Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, and only 1 to 2% of the population have diagnosed OCD. This is something that really resonates with me as I felt alone. I've never met anyone else that has the same condition as me. For the past 11 years, I've been riddled with intrusive thoughts and compulsions and thoughts that I just can't get out of my head, and it's really made me struggle, and it's really made the people around me struggle as well. That's 11 years of feeling like I'm by myself and having to deal with the thoughts that I can't control and I don't like because they can be scary sometimes. I have suffered with it for so long that I feel now that I need to face it head on, and I need to face the demons that are in my head, because I'm not going to be able to get on with my life if I don't face what's going on in my head. I've never been clinically diagnosed with OCD, so I've never had anyone tell me really what OCD is. I've never really been able to take advice from people either. I think that's maybe a symptom of the condition that I have. I've always wanted reassurance, and even that reassurance doesn't give me the satisfaction that I need. I know I need to face this head on, so I'm going to go speak to someone who helps people with OCD overcome things that are going on in their head and understand what OCD actually is.
I think the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual says that to have OCD or to be diagnosed with OCD, you've got to have obsessions and compulsions. It's an anxiety disorder where somebody is doing something compulsively in order for the anxiety to go away. So whether that is thought neutralization or a physical act. So OCD, generally as we know it, is washing hands and stuff like that, but it's actually much more than that now. We understand that it's much more than that.
I can't actually describe how speaking to Nicola felt. It was quite rewarding in a way. I've never had a definition of what OCD actually is from a qualified professional. After 11 years, I've actually begun to face something that I never thought I could face. There's no turning back now. During the early stages of filming this documentary, I discovered that there was someone that works at my university who also has OCD. This was a massive shock to the system, as I always thought I was the only one, even from the very start. It was truly enlightening speaking to Nicola and finding out what the definition of OCD is, but I think it'll be great for me to speak to someone else who also has OCD and speak to someone who also has the same experiences of what I've had. This is Emma. Emma works as a member of the admin team at the University of Salford. Emma was clinically diagnosed with OCD at age 18, and she's now 27. We've had OCD for nearly the same amount of years, so we're a lot alike. I wanted to speak to her to truly understand that I'm not the only one.
What is it like for you to have OCD?
I think it's strange talking about it from now compared to what it was like when I was younger. Like right now, it's just basically I've come to terms, it's what I have. I know I can never fully cure it or get rid of it. It's just like how I deal with my life with OCD in it. I think you learn a lot through having it. There's a lot of parts to it that make me me. So mine is a lot to do with caring about people. And I know that I would never change anything, even though there's been through a lot of stuff with it. I wouldn't change anything about it.
What would you say to someone with OCD that feels alone?
I think for me, I'd say just be patient with yourself. From my own experience, I know how quick it is to be so horrible to yourself, and you're going through a massive life change. Like the diagnosis can be kind of life altering. So I think be patient to yourself, realise that there's loads of people around that either are going through the same thing as you or can support you through it. And also just if you can get any further help, like therapy or anything like that, if you want it, don't feel like you're going to get judged for it. Don't feel like anyone around you is going to think anything less of you. Don't think that people think you're a freak or anything. Just do what's best for you.
And obviously I'm speaking to you to try and let people watching know that you don't have to be alone. Like, you are the first person I've met with OCD, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've probably met plenty of people with OCD, but people don't speak about it.
Oh, 100%. It's easy to hide it, but I think even following the diagnosis parts, there's so many parts of OCD that I didn't know were OCD. I thought it was just, for me, like a lot of checking and things like that, but I didn't realise that intrusive thoughts and things that can dominate so much of you negatively was part of it. And I think the more you realise and talk about OCD and the more that people are kind of open about it, the more you realise you're not alone. There's so many people with it as well, and they are looking for as much support as you are. And it's great to kind of like meet someone properly and talk about it, because you know exactly what I've gone through and you know exactly how hard it can be, but also how when you come through it, things are so much better. You're more caring towards people than you could have been if you were so consumed by it. Your outlook's better. You can have a positive look on what you think your future's going to be, instead of being like, oh, I can't do anything, I'm just going to have to lock myself away. It's just all these things that are nice, knowing that you can have not only a normal life, but fulfilling life as well with it.
Emma is exactly like me, something I never thought I'd be able to say, because I always thought I was the only one. Even just speaking to two people who have experience with OCD has really opened up my eyes. One thing I've still never been able to do is face my past. As much as I live with OCD every day, I've struggled with living with something that I can't accept. It's not just affected me, it's also affected the people that I was surrounded with. My mum was one person who was stood at the forefront of it all. It really put a strain on our relationship, as she didn't really understand what was going on. I couldn't really speak to her or understand myself without it triggering 11 years of intrusive thoughts. But I've realised that this is the last hurdle, and it's really something that I do need to face head on.
How do you feel talking about it after so long?
I don't know, it's a bit, I thought it was something that I was sort of buried away, I think, really.
You didn't think it was going to pop back up?
No.
I think it was something I never really wanted to speak about. You've experienced OCD, but from a second-hand kind of perspective. Yeah. So how would you say your experience in that sense of having a child with OCD?
Well, it's not even something that would even really, that ever crossed my mind. It's like, it's a totally different, I don't even really sort of like struggling to answer that one, because it's just like a whole new thing, but it's like a whole different experience to what I would expect from somebody that has OCD.
So how was it trying to navigate that? Did you ever think, oh, she's different to other babies, or she's different to other children?
You were just like wanted a lot of attention, and you just seeked a lot of stimulation, and needed to just be busy. You always needed to be busy, and if you really, when I look back, the reason you needed to be busy is so your mind didn't work overtime. Yeah. There's too much that fits under one umbrella, and at that age you were, how do you help somebody that it could just be puberty, it could just be school life, you don't really know. And as a teenager, there's that much going on in anybody's head without having any problems to be able to pinpoint. And it was quite inconsistent as well, so you wouldn't be like it all the time, but when you were, it was very intense. You can't cure it, so there's no point in trying. This is the thing, as a parent, if there's a problem, you want to cure it.
11 years after first encountering the first symptoms of OCD, I now realise that it's something that I need to face. Starting this documentary, I didn't even know I'd be able to finish it. I was terrified, I was scared, I was petrified that it was just going to bring back all the intrusive thoughts. And to be honest, at the beginning it did. It was really hard, but after learning what I've learned on this process, I've understood that the most important thing is to talk, whether it's to a therapist, whether it's anonymously, or maybe just the ones that are close to you. It's really important to chat about what's going on in your head and realise that you're not unusual for thinking the way that you think.
Last week, I think it was, I just finally got qualified as a mental health first aider. So I would never have done that if I hadn't have taken the time to look after myself, because obviously self-care and self-appreciation of what you're going through is really important. Having such an in-depth understanding about what it is and other kind of anxiety disorders related to it, you now realise that you can actually spend that time helping other people, and it's just a really nice position to be in, because I never thought I'd be able to help people in the same way that I got help. So
there's a lot of help out there for people with OCD, but there's very specific help that you can get that I think people don't know about, so people struggle to kind of speak up and go ahead and find that therapy. So what would you say to someone who thinks they're struggling with OCD symptoms? How would they go about getting that kind of therapy to help them?
So generally speaking, for OCD, I would say to somebody that you know and trust what you're struggling with, look on the BACP, British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapists, where there's lots of highly trained therapists on there that you can have a look at. I also say go on to OCD UK, brilliant website. There's lots of help and advice on there. There's a forum, you can give yourself a pseudonym, so you don't have to. You can be anonymous, so you don't have to say who you are. You can, that's a really good way in.
I know it's still there, and I know it always will be. There's no cure for OCD, but now I know I'm not alone. I now have the confidence to get an official diagnosis and to speak to the people that I need to speak to make me feel better about what's going on in my head. The most important thing is that you need to talk. You need to speak to someone that's close to you, or even if it's anonymously, OCD UK or OCD Action are charities you can speak to about things that are going on in your head. I hope that people can take a positive experience away from this, because it really has been a positive experience for me. And I really hope that people understand what I now understand about OCD. I'm Kira, I'm 20 years old, and I'm proud to have OCD.